Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be talking about doing the dirty. Yeah, which is a subject I literally know nothing about. I'm just going to wing it. But anyways, yeah, we're going to be talking about being a virgin at the age of 24, which isn't even very surprising in this day and age because nobody ever goes out anymore. But I'm basically just going to tell you my perspective of my failed sexual encounters. So you know what? I've only had one boyfriend, and before I moved to America, I literally had no relationships whatsoever, no dating, no kissing. I might have kissed a boy when I was maybe like 4 or 5, but does it count? I don't know. If so, I was ahead of the game, but then I stagnated until I hit like age 21 or 22, getting across the border and then meeting a guy. And when I was in Virginia for, the time that I got across the border, I got to Virginia. Basically, the gist of my timeline is I got across the border in like 2021 from Canada to the United States. Then I got to Great Falls, Virginia. I worked there for a while, kind of did my thing, probably about 6 to 8 months. And then I moved to Virginia Beach due to a series of things. But I, during that time, met a boy. Now, I met this boy when he was campaigning for Youngkin. And I have to say, Youngkin sucks. But, I don't know very much about politics. I think just most politicians just suck. It doesn't seem to matter where they are politically on the spectrum. They are all poo-poo, and I'm not particularly inclined. I don't care what they try to perpetuate. Yes, this is a drink. I don't care what they try to perpetuate. I don't care. At the end of the day, they never live up to their, standards imposed, and that's another story for another day. But the point I'm trying to make is I met this boy. He was knocking doors. I met him on, Bumble, and, he started paying attention to me, and then I was all for it because I'd never had attention from a man before, so I thought it was a really big deal. And so that was my first boyfriend, and, for some reason, I oddly have not been inclined by this point to be kissing people, dating people, whatever. I figured, I would just do some whimsical dates. And the weird thing about this guy, and I'm not trying to, just trash talk this guy, because I could say anything, and I get that I'm, literally just I'm speaking to a camera right now. I could say anything about this guy, and, he wouldn't be able to defend himself or anything like that, but he was a total scumbag, and I can give you some main points in a minute. But the gist of what I'm trying to tell you is I meet this guy. I like him. He likes me. He flirts with me. I flirt with him. Blah, blah, bitty, blah, blah, blah. We end up moving in together after a certain point. We date for 6 months long distance because he lives in Virginia Beach and I live in Great Falls. So it's about a 5-hour drive, 4-hour drive or something like that. And we would make the drives to each other and hang out and stuff, or I would get driven to him. I would pay my mom because at the time I didn't have a car or a license in America. Never had one in Canada. Never went out, etc. But moving on to that point, I basically would go back and forth with this guy, for 6 months. We were just kind of dating because he went on campaign and then he stopped and then he went back to his, his town. So between that time frame, we end up dating, and then he ends up inviting me to live with him and his grandma, which is not a turn on. And I'm like, all right, but I'm not having sex with you at grandma's house. And we only had done a few little things. I've never had sex. I probably never will at this point, and I've submitted to that fact. I get it. If it means being a celibate or an incel, either way, I'm not getting any, so why should I care? But, and it's also I guess I'm not really an incel, because if I wanted to get it, I could literally ask anybody and I could get it. Whereas I guess the incel part is the involuntary element to it. But I've never had the inclination for just sex. I've always wanted a relationship, companionship, the joyous pleasures of love and kindness, and I don't know, camaraderie. But yeah, so basically we do some stuff but we never hit anything past. We don't do the deed, we don't do the deed. We don't do the deed at grandma's house. I'm not for that. And then, we get to this weird point in our relationship. We start fighting a lot more. It wasn't even just about, sex. It was about, he would, blow me off for dates. He wouldn't, hang out with me. He would, really kind of, trash talk me. He was a little sexist, and I'm not, saying that just to be, defending my own antics. I was not a perfect, lover by any means. I could dissect, basically, so many things I know I could have done better in the relationship. But when I'm pointing these things out, I'm being very genuine when I say this. I make jokes all the time. I feel like a lot of people make jokes all the time. I'm not talking about like sexist jokes, you know, or like jokes just to be a joke. You know, I'm not talking about like playing on. He genuinely thought women shouldn't vote. He genuinely thought that you know, I get some people have these beliefs, but he genuinely would call me like a whore and stuff. Like he was kind of like an asshole. Like he was just an asshole, and he thought it was funny. But he did believe these things. Like he had certain political beliefs that were not entirely in alignment. Like personally, I kind of do I do believe in equalism at the end of the day. And you know, like maybe it's not great to be talking about sexism on this channel or politics or anything like that, because I'm sure, you know, obviously that's how you garner people to not like you, but at the end of the day, like, I gotta be honest. So, point I'm trying to make, he was kind of sexist, but the biggest thing that blew everything up is, in December, it was like, I know the date exactly, actually. We go to this tiki bar, it's December 6th of last year, I guess, so 2023? Or 2022. I think it was 2023. Either way, it was not this December. I believe it was last December. I got drunk. I got really drunk at this tiki bar because they really load those drinks up. It was in Virginia Beach, and you know, we were doing some stuff when we got home, and then I was like passing out. I was like, I need time. I'm like passing out. Like I don't want to do anything more, and I make it really clear, like I don't want to do anything more. Like I might be drunk, but I drink a lot. Like I can talk, I'm competent, but I was like starting to lose it. I was like, I don't want to do anything more. And he tries to keep going, and he did kind of, and I'm not saying this to make like a false claim. I'm not naming names here, but I'm also not, I'm not trying to inappropriately state this. He I basically tried to molest me while I was drunk. And kind of like in and out of consciousness, you know. I was kind of in and out by this point in time. I'm like falling asleep. I'm like, just give me some time. And he lets me fall asleep, and then he starts trying to do stuff. And like he tries to do the deed. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but he was trying to do the deed from how I like perceived the situation. Maybe it's an inappropriate perception, but like, you know, at the end of the day, nothing happened. I had this massive panic attack, and he kind of like, you know, fell back because I had a massive panic attack, and I curled up into a ball and I started crying. You know, that was the only like sexual encounter that I've really had. And then outside of that, like, you know, it was like a month later we broke up. We broke up basically right after Christmas, after I spent all this money on him and his family, and that was funny. And he planned to break up with me prior because you know, from his point of view, it was because I was fighting with him and not putting out. And from my point of view, we were fighting. And, you know, he was being an unappealing individual, and I didn't want to fuck him at grandma's house. But there's a lot more to the story. I could go on about this particular story. In fact, at some point I'll break the whole thing down. But that's the gist of my only sexual encounter, my only boyfriend, the only thing I experienced. Outside of that, I literally have zero sexual experience. Literally before I got across the border, I didn't even kiss a man. So that's saying something. But now I'm here. And I'm going to talk to you also about my failed relationship attempts, because it's not like I haven't had a willingness to bang. I just haven't found the right wang yet. I fucking okay, so I'm like, alright, I'm taking a break from boys, from dating. I go from Virginia Beach after like 6 months of being there to Floyd, Virginia, to be with my family for a couple of weeks, and then I go to Arlington. And in Arlington, Texas, I start working in Dallas, and I meet all these cool people and stuff, and I start realizing, dang, the dating pool is vast. She's vast, alright? She's thick, she's dummy thick, she's slick, and she's wet. And I'm here for it, and let's do it. Now, listen, some people think I'm a homosexual, but only when I'm drunk will I bend in the other direction. And also when it comes for a good joke, because I'm not gonna lie, I make a joke of myself, and I make a joke of my entire sexual experiences as an individual. Just I'm trying to make women are lovely. There have been times where I've thought of being with women, mainly when I'm very, very drunk, so I don't know if it's real. You know what I mean? Now, to be fair, there's some really hot ladies out there, but like, you get what I'm saying, alright? We can appreciate. It doesn't depreciate the fact that we might not be, you know, I might not be 100% straight, but I'm pretty sure I'm straight. Pretty sure. Haven't had any experience yet, so I wouldn't know. But like, anyways, point I'm trying to make is when it comes to my, you know, my antics in Dallas, basically, it's been fucking amazing and hilarious in every capacity because, okay, so far, I've ended up in, like, I tried basically to go out with, now I told myself I'd never do this, but there was this one 19-year-old man, and it was a really bad idea. I tried to court him, okay? And, you know, like, he was a cool dude, and we found ourselves very like-minded, which I thought was cool. And then I tried to court him, and he was a coworker as well, which is just a terrible idea. And he's still my coworker at the moment. But anyways, basically, we do nothing, okay? Like, I flirt with him and stuff, and he reciprocated, so I was like, oh, I may as well go all out, you know? And, I made a flower out of money for him at one point, and then I also made a scavenger hunt, like, basically confessing my feelings to him. And sure, it might be cringe, but it was cool. It was like a comic book scavenger hunt that I dug up a yard for it, and then literally the day after he dug up the note in that yard, there was construction going on, so my timing was impeccable and random as hell. And then outside of that, also, I hid a note in the wine room at work, and then my key holder got mad at me. And then I also got, basically I just did a lot of antics. I created like an 11-part scavenger hunt and augmented it accordingly, and I think that was pretty fantastic, even though I definitely failed in my pursuit of courtship. He did not want to be with me. But that was the other boy that I tried to court. I've been on dates and stuff like that, but not a lot, honestly. Like, every time I go on a dating app or I meet a man, I'm usually icked out pretty quick, because it's like, they're weird. A lot of men are weird. And a lot of people are weird. And I feel like maybe I am the weird one who attracts the weirdness. Like, I attract creeps, you know? It might be because I look like I'm 12. It might be because I act immature and weird. Or it might just be because I'm super unlucky. I don't know, and I don't care. Either way, I'm screwed. But I'm not screwed, which is the ironic part about it. I'm screwed by not getting screwed. The point I'm trying to make is, basically, I'm in a weird position right now where everybody at work is kind of like willing to go, like, if I asked like half the people at work to fuck, I'm sure that a lot of them would be all for it, because it's like, it's kind of funny actually. It's like the Virgin would bang fucking anybody. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's gonna happen with like anybody that I've met thus far. I mean, you know, there are people I talk to. I'll go on like a date here and there. I'll meet somebody online, talk to them, and then I'll, you know, stop after a while. Like, I don't like doing like multiple people in one go. I'll usually be like, let's try and find one person to go on a date with, and then we'll like wait a month or a couple of months and see how we feel about our life circumstances. And then we'll go to the next person if that doesn't work out. You know, it's worthy of an approach. It's really kind of a waste of time, actually. Now, I'm thinking about it, and maybe it's because I'm appealing to futility. I could certainly be just appealing to futility. You know, I failed in my pursuit of love and courtship. My affections have been belittled by others through my own failings. But at the same time, maybe it's a good thing that I have a very low sex drive and a very low interest in intercourse relations, because at the end of the day, like, if I were really wanting to get off, I could get off any time. If I really want to get off, I could just jack off. But it's all boring. It's like wasting my time. Listen, I get this is cringy, alright? It's meant to be. But every time I jerk off, I literally think to myself, man, I could be doing so much more right now. You know, I don't like watching porn. I think it's all ridiculous and weird. But even if I weren't to watch anything and just use my imagination, guess what happens? I start thinking about my taxes. I start thinking about, like, legal documents, filing things, making money. I start thinking about business. It's not fun to jerk off to. And honestly, those things go through my head all the time. And then if I'm not thinking about those, I'm thinking about a project. I don't want to jerk off to my projects. It's weird. And some people are like, oh, you should buy this toy. You should do this thing. A lot more people are more comfortable with those things. For some reason, I'm weirdly uncomfortable with those things. I grew up in a family where we were always able to, like, talk about, like, sex. Very, like, explanatory reasoning, like, how it works. I grew up knowing the birds and the bees. By the time I was, like, in, you know, elementary school, I knew everything. And if I ever had a question for my mom, she would tell me. But at the same time, I was kind of in, like, a weird, like, you know, point of my family being kind of, like, maybe not sexually repressed, but, like, not even shamed, but it's like, you know, definitely wouldn't think to have a toy. Definitely wouldn't think to have, like, a naughty magazine or anything like that. And, like, I've seen things like that before. Like, it's not like it, but it makes me uncomfortable. I don't know if that's for everybody, but it's like something I shouldn't see. And I kind of think to myself, I shouldn't see it. And then at the same time, like, when I first met my first boyfriend, my only boyfriend, my now ex, I thought that, like, he proclaimed he was, like, a good Christian guy, all this stuff. He was my age. He was like a year older than me at the time, I think, but he's like my age now. He was 24 and I was 23. So it's like, all right. But like, it was a really weird situation. Did I get across the border in 2021 if I was 23? My timeline's really screwed up. I'm so sorry. Anyways, just I'm trying to make though is like, he proclaimed he was a good Christian guy, blah, 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 all this stuff. And I was kind of like banking on it not being like super sexual off the bat. You know, I was like, hey, you know, like, I'm a virgin. And then he's like, hey, I'm a virgin too. And he was. Trust me, he was. He couldn't get any. And he was an actual incel. So that's funny. And like, he wasn't even super ugly or anything. Like, when I look at him, I'm like, all right, he's just a guy. Like, whatever. But like, the gist of what I'm trying, now I look at him and he's ugly as sin. But that's not real. It's just because of the, oh, he also tried to cheat on me. That's another part of the story that I forgot is, yeah, okay, like, he dumped me and I was moving out and I tried to move out in like 48 hours. I'm so sorry I'm rambling. But I tried to move out and I moved out within 48 hours. I literally got in and got out. Like, I grabbed all my stuff and I left. I packed my car and I was gone. And so, like, he was trying to control the times when I left. He was like, I'll drive you with this stuff at this date, and I'm gonna do it here, and I'm gonna do it there. And I'm like, you know, honestly, I'm getting out of here. And I got my mom to help me because I was gonna do it all in one go. And I did, and bless her soul, because honestly, she helped me out in a really bad time. And that's why, like, that really, like, did prove to me, like, you know, she like, it was just like, I've never dealt with that before, and I've always tried to be, like, on my own, self-sufficient and stuff like that. But this was, like, this was, like, the first time I'd moved out of my family home when I was with this guy, and she, like, swung right back. She didn't feel betrayed at all. She just fucking, she mama beared that shit, and I really appreciate her, because I really didn't know what I was gonna do. Like, I was really upset about it. I was really upset about the whole circumstances, because I still thought I liked him. But, upon me packing up all of this stuff, he had his laptop, and I know his laptop password. It's Orioles1. And he fucking told me this password, and then I later went back onto the laptop. I had programming stuff on there, and I just didn't want it to be, like, you know, on there anymore. So I was like, I'll just go on here and delete it. And then I noticed his iMessage is up, and his Tinder activation for Christmas Eve is up. So he was at my family home on Christmas Eve. So on Christmas Eve, he would go, like, to the bedroom and stuff and, like, not interact with us a lot. And it was because he was trying to cheat on me with people on Tinder. So if that's a bonus of not boning, it's that your crappy ex-boyfriend, who's an incel, is gonna try and score girls on Tinder on Christmas Eve, of all times, and then break up with you on the car ride home from the Christmas Eve antics. And by the way, he broke up with me early on in that car ride. It was like a 5-hour car ride, and he broke up with me within the first hour. Like, it was a lot. Anyways, it sucked. He was a douche. Forget it, whatever. So the point I'm trying to make with this is I was banking on him being, like, not super sexual, because he's a virgin, he's, like, a Christian, all this shit. And I was like, hey, good deal. You know, like, we'll take it slow. We'll hold hands. Maybe I'll kiss him on the cheek, whatever. Next thing I know, like, we meet for the first time and his tongue's in my mouth. And I'm like, oh, fuck, this is actually really gross. This guy's actually, like, and I'm not trying to shit talk him. I'm not a good kisser. It's like kissing a dead fish, all right? I don't have a lot of motion in the ocean, all right? I'm mostly commotion, no motion, just commotion. He's just a bad kisser in general, and I'm like a dead fish. So imagine someone going really hard on making out with something that's like a dead body and not moving, and that was like my first kissing experience with a legitimate man. It's like something from high school, really, or like middle school. Two very inexperienced individuals. So that was that. But, you know, anyways, bypassing him, that was literally the only experience I've had, and oh my god. Oh, yeah, but the point I'm trying to make, I'm so sorry I keep rambling. The point I'm trying to make is that in spite of me having a very, like, apprehensive perspective of, like, sexual experiences and stuff, I expected it would be more traumatic than it was, because I got over it really quick. I was like, that was gross, move on. And, you know, I was willing to do some sexual acts throughout our relationship, not immediately, definitely not. I didn't even want him to see me without a bra on for, like, 6 months. Like, I'm pretty reserved in regards to, like, opening up in that regard, like, sexually and being, like, out there. I'm pretty reserved, and also I don't really have a lot of kinkery from what I know. Maybe I'm the kinkiest, most masochistic, sadistic lunatic ever, who wants to, like, eat people or something, and I wouldn't know. But I'm pretty sure I'm vanilla on ice. I'm pretty chill, and I'm basic in regards to the bedroom. But given that I don't have a mission for missionary yet, I probably can't even gauge what I'd be into in the future, and I'm sure if I got bored, I'd be into a more kinky setup. The point I'm trying to generally make with this is I'm sexually unversed. I can get it whenever I want. Probably. I assume. I haven't really tried, because every time I'm presented with the opportunity, like I've had people offer it to me, every time I'm presented with the opportunity, it doesn't sound enticing. It's like, what's the point? It's like I'm just getting off. And if I haven't gotten off before, and I'm already 24, why not just wait longer and then find a fortified relationship? That's like my perspective on it, but at the same time, I always do make the jokes and commentary that I'm just a loser virgin and I can't get any. And then I'm also, like, to be fair, I'm pretty brutal about flirting. Like, I flirt quite, like, atrociously, not even in, like, a good flirting way, but in, like, a cringy flirting way where I'll flirt with anybody, man or woman. I don't care. Like, obviously not, like, anyone who's, like, a minor or anything like that, but I just make flirtatious jokes to all of my coworkers. Like, I make flirtatious commentary. Definitely don't actually do anything, but, like, we all make jokes. But it's, like, it's kind of weird, because it's a contrast between my actual expectations and my reservedness, if that's a word. I don't even recall. But in my, like, being reserved, and then there's also that contrast with all of the jokes and commentary I make, which makes people kind of go like, oh, well, you either get a lot, or you want to get a lot, when I don't really want to get a lot of anything, or I don't really want to do anything. It's very weird, and it's like I'm operating on a constant state of contradiction through my apprehension for sexual acts, and my lack of desire to actually copulate. Is that it? I don't know. Anyways. It's weird. Is this weird for you? Are you also a virgin online? Also, I've thought about selling it a lot because I've always needed money. And I've always needed a lot of money. To get my storage units back, I'm gonna at least need 30,000 American dollars, or 10,000 American dollars, or 20,000 American dollars. However I want to do it, because there's all these different ways to get my storage units back. After that goal point, I don't even know what I would do with any extra money that I have. I guess just have fun, start saving it, diverting it towards my businesses, but also, like, my only goal is to pay for this storage. So I'm like, is my virginity worth $30,000? Probably not. Like, it would be a pretty lame experience. I know that it would be some weirdo who's, like, rich and old. But, like, I'm thinking to myself, like, man, it would have to be, like, way more money if I was gonna let someone stick it in me for the first time like that. But maybe it'd be worth it, because some people value virginity, and I've valued it enough to keep it for 24 years. And it's not like I'm religious either. Like, my mom, she was raised Catholic, but raised us all, like, agnostic. Me and all my sisters, we came out very open to any religion, very, like, chill, and we don't look at it like that. We don't look at, like, preserving our virginities or anything like that. From what I can assume, I am literally one of very few, if the only virgin in my family at this point. Actually, that might not be true, for various reasons. What I'm trying to make, though, is it's like a weird combination of a lack of desire for sex, combined with a desire for constant companionship, combined with a constant state of being, like, sexually repressed and making constant jokes about sex, and then also not knowing what my sexuality actually is, because I've never had any sexual experiences. Pretty sure I'm into men, though. But, like, the point I'm trying to make is, like, I don't know, because I don't know anything. And this is the weird thing, is, like, I don't even know why I'm really talking about this. It's basically, like, if you're 24 or 30, or, like, what's the point? Like, what is the threshold? What is the point of pursuit where you are too old to be a virgin? Because everybody else I know has already gotten some, and I feel like I'm, like, losing that. Like, I'm in the boat of losslessness when it comes to virginity. Like, I still have it. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna still have it by the time I'm 25. Still gonna have it by the time I'm, like, 28. Still gonna have it forever, honestly. I may as well die with it at this point. And I know I'm being dramatic, because eventually I'll meet someone, and I'll fall for them, and I'll bang, and I'll probably break up with them, and then we'll have another round of this, and it'll be just like another rinse and repeat. And then eventually I'll find a man, and I've already lost my virginity at that point, and then I'll get married to him, pop out some kids, bada bing, bada boom, I win. The plan, literally, and throughout my entire life, has been, recently, my plan is basically become successful through my business endeavors, make a ton of money, own land, have family, have a bunch of kids, create an empire. That's literally the plan. It's not that deep, all right? And then die. And also, I would love to be made into a dye upon my own dying. Like, I would love to literally be cremated and then have my ashes condensed with some sort of other material, perhaps obsidian, but it is very porous and weak, so I don't know what it would actually be, and be made into a cube. Because if you cannot freaking tell by now, if you can't tell by now, cubes are my favorite shapes, okay? I'm just pointing that out. Cubes, I freaking love cubes. I love squares. Every time I go around a corner at work, I'm gonna say corner square, corner squares, corner triangle, upside down pineapple, all that good stuff, all right? But that's the point I'm trying to make. I don't even know why I'm going on about this. It's just been on my mind because every time I'm in like a situation where I'm seeing stuff online, everybody's talking about their sexual encounters, and everybody's talking about like sex and incels and like or like, you know, losing your virginity at a young age and all that stuff. What about like people keeping their virginity but like not being sure why they kept it for a very long amount of time? Because honestly, that's basically what's been going through my head. I don't even know what made this idea come up, but I figured I would just talk about it because I thought it'd be funny. Is it cringy? Yes. Am I still a virgin? Unfortunately, yes. Or fortunately, yes. I don't even know what I'm going on about. I'm gonna stop. But anyways, that was the video. Just, you know, I don't even have a moral to this. I guess I could add one at the end, be like, hey, if you're a virgin at 24, don't worry, I am too. But like, does that actually comfort you? I don't think so. I don't even know what I was going on about in this video. I thought it'd be kind of funny though. So, that was the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, my people. My fellow virgins, my fellow incels, my fellow celibates, whatever you want to call yourselves, my fellow fornicators. My fellow fornicators. I'm getting drunk if you can't tell. Anyways, that was the video. I'm sorry that I went on a little tirade. Hope you all enjoyed my cringe anyways. So thank you so much for watching, my people. It has been absolutely lovely, and I will see you next time. Slater.